Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're a focused learner, a C-suite executive, or a tech leader trying to cut through the absolute noise of modern cybersecurity, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's be real for a second. How much time and budget is your team wasting right now just trying to juggle a dozen mismatched, disconnected security tools? The fatigue is real, right? And those gaps between your tools, that is exactly what attackers exploit. So today, we're exploring a massive paradigm shift in defense. We're breaking down the Thruster Continuous Security Platform. We're going to forget the headache of patching together a fragmented defense and look at the ultimate solution for unified, continuous protection. And spoiler alert, it's built not just for today's threats, but for tomorrow's.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, introducing the Thruster Security Platform. Second, proactive testing and simulation. Third, mastering attack surface management. Fourth, cloud, response, and compliance. Fifth, future-proofing your security. And finally, joining the Thruster ecosystem. Let's dive in.
Section 1. Introducing the Thruster Security Platform, the true hub of continuous protection.
Now think about this powerful visual metaphor. At the very center, you've got the Thruster Continuous Security Platform, right? It acts as the core engine. Orbiting around it, kind of like a highly synchronized solar system, are 12 distinct interconnected security capabilities. Just think about the standard enterprise today. They usually have a totally different vendor for each of those 12 rings. A pen testing vendor over here, cloud security over there, and incident response teams somewhere else. Trying to stitch all that together creates massive operational blind spots. Thruster actually solves this by bringing every specialized service back into one central communicating core. It literally eliminates vendor sprawl.
And this is really what separates a true ecosystem from just, a shopping list of features. When we talk about a continuous security platform, we mean a system that is inherently designed to operate without any downtime. The old days of running a vulnerability scan once a quarter, those are long gone. Modern attackers do not sleep, and honestly, your defenses shouldn't either. By natively integrating these tools, Thruster ensures automated, future-proofed, and non-stop protection. It's a relentless defense that actively learns and adapts to your specific environment.
All right, let's move to Section 2, proactive testing and simulation and how we actually challenge your defenses.
So this first pillar groups together the offensive security services within the Thruster ecosystem. Think of these four components, PTAS, RTAS, CART, and phishing simulations, as your internal sparring partners. Why is this necessary? Well, because purely theoretical security completely falls apart in the real world. A compliance checklist is definitely not going to stop a ransomware gang. You need to actively challenge your own systems with the exact same techniques an adversary would use. This ensures your defenses are constantly tested against real-world scenarios rather than just hypothetical ones.
Let's actually break down those first two acronyms and look at their action-oriented pacing. First up, PTAAS, or Pen Test as a Service. The mission here is simple but absolutely critical. Find, test, secure. This is all about locating the unlocked doors in your network, poking at them, and then locking them down. Then we have RTAS, Red Team as a Service, which really elevates the game. The goal here is challenge, test, toughen. So, if a pen test finds that unlocked door, a red team is like the simulated burglar actively trying to bypass your alarm system. It tests your team's ability to detect and stop a live, advanced adversary.
Enter CART, or Continuous Automated Red Teaming. Look, the reality is you simply cannot hire enough human hackers to probe your systems 24/7. It's just financially and logistically impossible. But by automating those highly complex red team processes, Thruster allows you to scale your testing infinitely. The mantra here is automate, scale, win. You're getting the ingenuity of a human attacker, but deployed at the incredible speed and scale of a machine. It ensures blind spots are uncovered the literal second they appear.
But that brings up a really fascinating question. You can automate software testing all day long, but how do we prepare the human element of our teams for unpredictable threats?
Because let's face it, no matter how amazing your automated defenses are, someone in accounting might still click on a highly convincing but completely fake urgent invoice. That brings us to phishing simulations, which totally rounds out our testing pillar. Thruster goes way beyond just sending out fake emails. This capability includes comprehensive simulations and actual tabletop exercises to train, simulate, and respond to threats. It ensures your human firewall is just as resilient, skeptical, and ready to act as your digital one.
Okay, Section 3. Mastering Attack Surface Management, focusing on visibility and prediction.
Continuous Threat Exposure Management, or CTEM, provides the overarching framework for this entire pillar. Think about how much the attack surface has exploded in the remote work era.
I mean, between cloud migrations, remote employees, bring your own device policies, the perimeter is practically invisible now. The CTEM strategy is basically your answer to this chaos. It's a threefold approach: monitor, manage, minimize. It's an ongoing, non-stop cycle of keeping a watchful eye on your total exposure and systematically shrinking it before it can be exploited.
To actually execute that CTM strategy, Thruster breaks down attack surface management into three highly specific capabilities. First, you have PASM, to preemptively manage your traditional IT assets. Then, you have AASM, which dynamically handles artificial intelligence-driven environments. And crucially, you've got OTSM. This one is specifically designed for the totally unique vulnerabilities of operational technology and IoT. We're talking about securing connected factory floors, smart HVA systems, medical devices. These are areas where a breach doesn't just mean lost data, it means physical, real-world consequences.
Look at the energetic rhythm of the verbs powering these three services. It's a completely fluid life cycle. You start with PASM to map, manage, and reduce your traditional footprint. Then, for your AI-driven assets, you shift into the future to predict, protect, and evolve against emerging threats. Finally, for your physical and operational tech in OTOSM, the mandate is absolute: connect, secure, and control. Together, they create this comprehensive, non-stop life cycle of securing literally every single entry point.
So we've mapped the surface and challenged the defenses. But what happens when that attack surface extends seamlessly into the cloud? Or worse, when an incident actually breaches the perimeter?
Which brings us to Section 4, Cloud, Response, and Compliance. This is all about assurance and recovery.
These three critical services represent the administrative and investigative reality of modern business. If a breach happens, you have to manage a very complex chain of events. You need Cloud Security Posture Management, or CSPM, to lock down your hosted environments. You need Digital Forensics and Incident Response, or DFIR, to investigate the anomaly. And finally, you need Continuous Compliance as a Service, CCAS, to actually prove to regulators and the government that you did your job. The beauty is, Thruster links all three of these natively.
When a breach happens, the clock is ticking. You absolutely do not have time to negotiate a new vendor contract or onboard some external forensic team while your data is actively being exfiltrated. That is exactly why having DFIR built directly into the ecosystem is a total game changer. It guarantees you can analyze, respond, and recover immediately. You launch your investigation right from your central security hub without missing a single beat.
And here's the thing. You simply cannot prove you are compliant if you don't actually know what is living in your cloud. That is exactly why CSPM empowers you to know, secure, and monitor your cloud infrastructure. This ties seamlessly into CCAS, where you validate, comply, and assure. Knowing and securing your environment is the fundamental prerequisite. It's what allows you to confidently validate your posture and assure continuous compliance to your clients, your stakeholders, and your industry regulators.
Moving on to Section 5, Future-proofing your security and building next-gen trust.
Now, this right here is where Thruster completely separates itself from every standard platform on the market. The PQC Hub is dedicated entirely to post-quantum cryptography. Have you heard of Q-Day? It's this theoretical date when quantum computers become powerful enough to just effortlessly break standard RSA encryption. The encryption protecting global banking, communications, your private data. It could be rendered obsolete almost overnight. So Thruster's mandate here is encrypt, future-proof, trust. They are actively integrating quantum-resistant algorithms right now. This ensures that the trust and encryption you build today will actually survive the massive computational threats of tomorrow.
All right, Section 6. Join the Thruster ecosystem. This is your partnership call to action.
When you pull all 12 of these capabilities together, from automated red teaming and AI attack surface management all the way down to quantum cryptography and digital forensics, you get something vastly greater than just the sum of its parts. True, modern security requires these tools to work flawlessly together in an automated, continuous, and future-proof ecosystem. It stops the gaps, it stops the vendor fatigue, and most importantly, it stops the threats.
Which really leaves us with one vital question for every C-suite executive and tech leader watching this explainer. Are you ready to step away from fragmented, reactive tools and integrate with the ultimate continuous security ecosystem as a partner? The future of cybersecurity is unified, and Thruster is building that future right now. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.